what I can't play those cards now. And then it got announced that Mind Vision was effectively that in alpha. It was 6 mana, steal a card from your opponent's hand.
Oh, that'd be so cool. I wish it was that.
It was unplayable though at that point, and then they made it 4 mana, and then it was OP, and then they made it 1 mana, copy a card.
Yeah, so game 1 underway here. We see Frothing Berserker in the hand right away, and this is sort of a this is something that Zolay really started to popularize lately. He did pretty well at ESL for himself, and I have played that quite a bit, and sometimes he gets really frothy.
Really frothy.
Yeah, like 22 power frothy.
That sounds frothy.
When you couple that guy with Deathspite,
yeah, it's actually pretty insane.
Actually, like, this is something that I used to do via suggestion of one of my friends. Is like when you first started playing a new season. This is back when it would start you back at 25 instead of giving you the bonus stars for having a higher placement for the previous season. From like 25 to 5, we would just try to kill people by making the biggest Frothing Berserkers we possibly can.
Okay.
And it would make that grind so much more fun because you're trying to kill people with 20 power Frothing Berserkers.
You're playing around one specific card to win the game, so.
Oh yeah, it was a blast. If you haven't made a 20 power Frothing Berserker, you're missing out. You are not playing Hearthstone.
Yeah, you haven't played the Frothing Berserker if it's never been above 20. That's for sure. it must have happened at least once in your Frothing life. So, this is a really weird position though. If I look at Orange's hand, like he's got a decent hand, but Amaz's board presence is. I mean, the double Dark Cult to start. There's no weapon in Orange's hand, and those are the most important cards in this matchup. You want to get the value from weapons as soon as possible.
Yeah, definitely is an important one, but neither of these minions are directly challenged by Dark Cultists, so a lot of board tension being built very early, and Amaz looks like has initiated the race now.
I mean, what does Orange do here? This is so weird. I mean, you can kill both minions. You use, you attack with the Armor Smith into one of them, then you trade into the other cultist, and you silence the buffed up one. I guess.
it looks like a silence is in order.
Yeah.
There's not a strong play available to him otherwise, and I don't think he's just gonna go face, because he can get a pretty favorable trade-off, I would say.
Yeah, you can get you can get a board established and deny your opponent's ability to really snowball out of control.
Really in the tank here, though. What's really important is to attack the correct Dark Cultist.
Actually, you could use. Yeah, you could actually use. Oh no, you couldn't. I was gonna say Shield Slam, but you're not gonna have.
No, I mean he could also. I mean, this is the other play he's thinking about. Is he's if he attacks the same.
And then it's gonna be Spell Break.
Yeah, he could attack the 3/3/1 and then do it. Like he could have attacked the 3/3 Frothing. I'm sorry, the 4 power Frothing Berserker into No,
the 3/3.
No, he's still only have 4 mana. I'm forgetting the buff. Yeah. Ignore what I just said. He's gonna use silence instead.
Yeah, that was the buff, bro. The buff was the issue really in this position, and now Amaz gets a pretty sweet Shadow Madness, the Armor Smith. To be able to trade everything away, get himself 2 armor in case he thought steals that famed Shield Slam.
Yep. But, the problem with this one is that he yields initiative to his opponent.
Yep.
So this is Orange's turn to really, really seize the board and start locking things up. And I'm going to guess that's going to be Lotheb. He just wants something on board to make sure it fights against Sludge Belcher really well.
Is the only card that really does it amazingly well on curve, essentially. I mean, Powder Shredder gets stopped completely dead by the Belcher, and then...
Stranglethorn Tiger does a pretty decent job.
Wow.
Can't even attack it. Can't even attack it.
You're right, you're right. You can't, like, Shadow Word Death to stall and buy some time.
I love Stranglethorn Tiger. So kind of like a Sludge Belcher. I mean, he gets down Zombie Chow and Taz Dingo this turn. That's like, I mean, if that was a Goldshire Footman, this would have been a Sludge Belcher he just played.
True. I mean, I like the addition of Senjin back in the metagame because of the fact that we see so many Piloted Shredders. I mean, Senjin is essentially the one card that deals with it well.
Look at that. He's even getting the 5 damage off Zombie Chow because he's got the Arcanine Soul Priest in play.
There's a Bomb Lobber. Do you just Shield Maid and Shield Slam? I mean, I think that's a pretty solid board. Oh my goodness, it's going to be pretty good. I'm happy to see Bomb Lobber getting some play finally in Constructed recently. I mean, it's a card that just, when I saw it, I was thinking to myself, oh, this is amazing. You know, Miracle Rogue is going to die, and then the Gadgetzan nerf was announced, and it wasn't necessary. So I thought Bomb Lobber would be relegated to the unused cards pool. But,
well, you were right. I mean, Miracle Rogue kind of died out. Your prediction was correct.
It just feels weird.
For the wrong reason.
Yeah.
I think
this feels weird.
Spare parts seemed, I think, a little bit scary. Well, Skagit Auctioneer, and he's just way too good. At 6 mana, he's still, like, I think he's in the spot where they want him to be, where he's still played and you can still build around him, but he's not just dictating how every single deck gets built.
Alright, so Orange here is thinking, do I drop my Sylvanas? Because, I mean, Amaz can't even kill his immediately, and it's a big risk if he decides to play his. A huge risk, in fact.
So he's just going to go for damage here, and I can't blame him.
Oh, I
like
know how
it.
tempting this feels.
I like it. I think you just go for it, man. You just dealt 8 points of damage to your opponent. You have 13 more sitting on board. You're going to have 11 after he attacks. Amaz is going to have something really good. And oh my gosh.
Shadow Madness Recombobulator is coming out.
Oh my gosh. That Recombobulator just destroyed the game. Orange
instantly.
Oh my gosh.
His face. Oh wow, that belonged in a museum.
Yeah, that's not the time he wants Harrison to be on board. I mean, I think he's happy with it, but definitely not what he wanted. Oh my gosh, the Recombobulator draw was just disgusting. You know, he still had a good Shadow Madness play.
Yeah.
By, you know, taking Sludge Buffs off the board, getting himself a 1/2, and then also stealing his opponent's Sylvanas. Like, that was basically just going to happen every time that he saw Shadow Madness. But he'd already seen a Shadow Madness. So he's got to feel comfortable playing against the second one, right?
Yeah, he's not really worried about playing into it. And I wouldn't even be. I don't fault him for the play that he made, but that was pretty crazy. And Sylvanas gets hit.
This is so bad for Orange. I just don't think that there's a recovery turn after that happens. I mean, your opponent blew up your board and stole your Sylvanas.
I have pretty good muscle memory in this position. The best play is escape concede in exactly 0.1 second.
Save everyone.
Sees. Yeah.
Save everyone some time and go on to the next game. Like, wasn't playing Mirror Entity. 6-0.
6-0, yes.
6-0 wasn't playing Mirror Entity's deck. I'm curious if Orange is going to be going that same way. With Mana Worm, it looks to me like it's going to go that same way. I'd venture to say to fit in something like Mana Worm and the spells to go with it, you probably, like, really the only reasonable cut in the deck would be Mad Scientist and Mirror Entity.
A lot of people cut Cogmasters, put in Mana Worms because they have more health, and then they end up putting sometimes a Kirintor Mage to compensate for the, you know, they'll play, you know, one counter spell, 2 more entities, and oh wow, double Innervate here in Amaz's hand.
Oh my gosh.
Turn 3 Ancient of Lore. After
Wow,
Wrathing, oh goodness.
That's a pretty tough one to beat. Both 7 drops in Orange's deck, or what I assume is both 7 drops, are already in his hand. Oh, this is looking so brutal. He can coin out the Annoyatron here, but then he doesn't have a turn 3 play. And so I would venture to say he's going to hang on to this and hope that he draws something on curve in the next couple turns to make sure he can get this done. But I mean, is there another play other than charge out this? I'm sorry, other than play this Ancient. Look at me, I'm wanting to charge out Druid of the Claw instead of play this Ancient Allure on turn 3. I mean, it just gives you so much gas.
Yeah, the thing is, your Innervates are so important to create huge tempo swings in the mid-late, right? Like on turn 6 or so, if you can get it done. But this is a 5/5. The problem is your opponent kept the coin, so if he coins out a Fireball and you don't have a 4-drop, you're going to be in a world of hurt.
Yeah, but the only way to really get a 4-drop with a hand like this is to either save your Innervates or to try to draw one. And I think I would tend to try to draw one. I mean, he's basically just replacing his Innervates here.
And he's getting the Shade of Nax Zombie Chow for turn 4, so the curve is maintained, if not improved.
And I think Orange is going to really, really want some lucky rolls here. Oh gosh, I think he's got to go. Even if you miss it, you still have a 5/4 on board to contest. Wow, he's going to deviate.
This is such a dangerous play if you play Blast Mage. In many ways, the only reason it's dangerous is if he has a swipe, then you're locked out of a board for a little while. I mean, you have to play on curve and he gets somewhat of initiative, but I mean, this is not terrible for Amaz either. Both these players, yeah. I mean, Dr. Boom could get coined out 6 and then 7 or an Archmage, or the other way around. Well, it's probably going to be Boom first.
It's always Boom first. His Wrath and just develop his board. I don't mind this. I mean, I don't think Amaz really expects Blast Mage in this position. Your opponent had such a good turn to play it last turn, I think.
It wasn't horrible, but well, I think you might want to
wisely setting up the Zombie Chow to die to 1 missile, so it can't absorb more. It's going to increase his chance to kill Shade. So super important there. Oh, these rolls are so important. Oh, just
that's
one.
That's not bad though.
It's not
this
bad.
Is not bad. You got to kill here on that 5/2 if you want it. That's a good kill to take. I mean, you've got a pretty big board, and unless Amaz finds a swipe off the top, this board is going to be dangerous.
Yeah, those 2-1s are really doing a number right now, because if he wants to kill them, he's going to throw off his entire curve. He's going to have to unveil his shade, which is going to get picked off by a hero power. And he thinks that might throw off the curve, but Orange's curve is already way thrown off. I mean, this is basically Orange has thrown everything into this turn. So unless he starts really picking up some cards, he's going to feel a heavy disruption. But I got to feel like with the way that this game has panned out, that he's going to be using Wrath and hero power here. That's just what I think. It's
I like the
so
Shredder
hard.
because it trades directly with the Blast Mage, but
yeah, I think Shredder's good. I think Shredder is actually his second best option, and it might be his best option too.
well,
I don't really like Sludge Belcher because this is just absorbing 2-1s and it's absorbing a hit from the Goblin Blast Mage, which is setting up to die. So there, pluses and
yeah,
minuses.
you're gonna get Wrath card draw on the Goblin Blast
But
Mage.
I think he's going to use his hero power to clear off the first section of the body, and then use the Blast Mage to a. No, he's not going to do that. He's actually just going to kill his Shade instead. So I was wrong again.
Yeah, I would have
I'm
thought
just
he
wrong on
was,
all accounts.
Well, that's the thing. When there are so many lines of play, you pick
Yeah.
the one you think is best, and that armor plating actually puts.
I mean, he's going to use
bother
another.
with that. Yeah,
He's not.
Arthritis,
No,
right?
no. I was like, he's not going to put it on the Blast Mage. He's got Tinnitus and a coin in his hand.
There's no swipe coming up anyway. He's aware of that. So Wrath for card draw on that 5/1, and then probably negate the Mech Warper.
Still,
Yeah,
I
see
think
what
he's
he
looking for a
finds.
swipe.
Yeah, he ought to be, and now he plays the Paladin Shredder.
I really like Shredder on 5. I think that would have done an excellent job. He would have taken some damage. but-
wow.
Oh my gosh.
No, you have to
I-
coin
I
boom.
think-
You have to coin boom, right?
Well, it's not green with a border around it yet, so your macro doesn't work here.
Right, but we could add a setup there where it says if coin on 6, then coin, then if green on boom.
If turn equals 6, if coin in hand equals true,
Yeah.
then execute, play equals coin, play equals Dr. Boom.
Yeah, that seems like a really acceptable macro. I mean, I'd play Hearthstone like that. I could probably do AI right now. I feel like a genius.
You get banned for botting then. Wow, one tick off. So close.
Well,
But
they-
he's got the hero power to short it up.
I don't know if that was an intended pun, but that was a really nice one. Banned for botting.
That's how the macro
Whatever.
works, right? Yeah, people who play Dr. Boom should get banned. I agree.
Yeah,
I agree with you, Noxious. That is an excellent suggestion.
I agree.
Amaz draws Savage Roar, and Orange is nowhere near the 14 life point. This is brutal. I don't see him. With the way that Orange's hand started, this was looking like it was going to be a rough game, but both his Goblin Blast Mages have pulled so much weight that he's just got a mega advantage on the board. This is despite a turn 3 double Innervate Ancient Allure.
Yeah, and a lot of people have been complaining a bit about Blast Mage and the fact that it feels a little overtuned, but truth is, if you want an aggro deck in your metagame at any point, you need to have cards like these sometimes that are slightly above curve, but not completely game-breaking in the way that Undertaker are, because you have time to answer the Blast Mage before it comes out. So
Charging-
there are...
Charging here helps avoid when Fireball will just outright kill you. But he's going to have to deal with more than one Fireball.
Yep. This is going to be an escape concede, a muscle memory moment here for Amaz, I think.
Aha!
Aha! You require my assistant? No, there's no way he can win this. Unless he goes for... Force... Whoa, Black Knight, that's a dead card.
I think you should slam that Black Knight on the board and let Orange know he's got it and then concede the game. They're really smart to hide it there. But, that was just common sense at that point. He has no way to deal with the Archmage, and he knows there's 2 Fireballs in hand, so...
So I can understand why maybe Rogue, if it wins against Hunter, if this is Face Hunter, and if we see it being Face Hunter, this is going to be really problematic for the Rogue. Mid-range Hunter, on the other hand, I feel Rogue has a pretty good chance in that matchup because sapping a high main is essentially, if you've got anything on the board and you sap a high main, you're going to be racing pretty far ahead for the following turns.
Yeah, Web Spinner's a really big indicator that he's probably playing the same deck.
Mid-range,
And
yep.
this is just the opening hand he drew, right?
Yeah,
this
we're
wasn't a
looking at
mulligan. He
that.
just drew Web Spinner, Mad Scientist, Eagle Horn Bow.
Sounds fair. Sounds like a fair hand to me.
Sounds fair. Well,
And-
true to the nature of how Amaz has been with Hunter so far, there's the first freezing trap. And I would venture to say there's about an 86% chance he draws the second one.
Yeah, I've calculated the odds are really in the 87.5, but this is just arguing over small stuff.
So if we draw the freezing trap, what's our percent chance of survival? Can you give me a number crunch?
73.1, depending on whether or not the opponent plays Loatheb on curve at 1 turn afterwards.
Yeah, I came up with 33.33. repeating
Okay.
chores, percent chance.
So you didn't take into account the Kobold Geomancer, but that's fine. That's your call. You do what you want. Your metagame, my metagame. To each his own.
Someone like joining in the middle, it's like, what are they talking about?
Amaz math, obviously.
You guys are lucky that you were here before we started that conversation, so you know what we're talking about. Welcome to the club. You're one of us now.
Amaz is getting really good value out of that weapon, honestly. I mean, he's going to get a total of 3 charges off of it, unless Orange comes up with some Harrison Jones tech.
Or Keys and Mystic.
Yeah, and there's an Oasis Snapjaw from the web spinner.
This is,
so.
you know, it's actually one of the better cards against Rogue in
Yeah,
terms
it
of,
is.
Of like minions.
Stickiness. Yeah.
Because who wants to kill an Oasis Snapjaw? I've never met anyone who's like, sweet, Oasis Snapjaw, now I can use my backstab, eviscerate, and a charge of my dagger on it.
Yeah, it feels good, you know, because I'm preventing 2 damage.
And I'm only using 2 cards to do it.
Yeah, it's like you're killing a Doomsayer that will whittle away at your health over 25 turns.
Amaz is just going to let this... Wait, was that a freezing trap? Was that a snake trap? We're 100% positive it's a freezing trap, so he doesn't want to give him the card. He would rather lose the freezing trap than let Rogue draw an extra card. I actually think that that's really smart right now because it's difficult to play a 4-mana 1/1 here. Like, he's so often going to be coining out something like Azure Drake or Loatheb, or even just playing Violet Teacher and then having some spells afterwards. This Blood Mage may just be stuck in his hand for just a very long time.
Yeah, it's the only time where you're really going to be happy to play it over an Azure Drake at this point is when you have absolutely no more Drakes left, first of all, and then you're going to have probably a prep for the Fan of Knives. So it's going to be, or for whatever spell it is you're trying to power here.
Yeah. Amaz has been trying to attack 3/3s, or rather keep 3/3s off the board by having the Eagle Horn bow ready. But this Azure Drake or Loatheb may really encourage the second freezing. I mean, obviously he's not going to freeze and trap the Loatheb, but it really may encourage him to just play another freezing trap and try to continue to seize tempo from that, and then just use the bow as 12 to base damage. That's so much from one card.
How much do you mind actually freezing trapping Loatheb, right? You play your own Loatheb and then he's locked out of spells, and then that goes back to his hand.
Well, he can't play Loatheb and freezing trap at the same time. That's really the biggest issue with it.
I wonder though, what the follow-up plays are going to be for Amaz. He's got 2 lines of play that I do like. I have to say Loatheb here feels pretty good, but there's a good, I guess, argument to be made for kill command, but you kind of want to keep that for the face.
Yeah, definitely goes both ways. I don't want to Loatheb either. I can definitely see that coming out. The issue with that is how much damage can he really deal in terms of just absolute pressure. Because I think the bigger thing that's happening right now is that both players are still really heavily fighting for the board. So Loatheb, oh wow, he's actually just going to take out the Azure Drake with bow and his turtle. That's really smart if you're going to play Loatheb. I wasn't even thinking about that. To me, I just saw bow and I was like, bow 3 charge, bow hit face, bow 9 damage.
Classical hunter, basically.
Yeah.
You went through the hunter tutorial, I can tell.
Chard no stupid.
Rexar no stupid. Right. We all believe you, Rexar.
Well, Savannah Hyman's no stupid either, and using his life total, using his life total as a resource right now, this is actually really smart stuff. Because if there's no sap, Orange is going to fall really well. If there's no sap, and this is what he was trying to avoid by freezing the Blood Mage, was keeping his opponent from getting deep into his deck and lowering the chances that he finds one of these.
But he is 1 mana off of doing what he really wants, which is, you know, sap, SI7, eviscerate to kill Loatheb. Yeah. But at this point, he has to play sap, eviscerate, dagger kill. But that's kind of horrible. I mean, I guess you could sap the Highmane, then play Earthen Ring, and then when the Loatheb attacks into it, possibly you just...
I mean, there's another bow charge too, so I don't think the Loatheb is really going to attack him. I mean, this is a tough turn because he's got to start being concerned with the amount of damage he's going to take.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
There's not much question, I think, about one of these minions dying this turn. It's just a matter of how he does it. And since he doesn't have another opportunity to play Blood Mage pretty much ever again, he's going to eat 6 damage from the Savannah Highmane. I think he is going to try to get Amaz to expend his bow charge on this Blood Mage so he can continue to try to find what he needs, because he doesn't have something like a preparation right now, so any little extra bit is going to help. Wow, Amaz is just going to use Unleash the Hounds.
Yeah, there's no... Violet Teacher at this point of the game would be effectively useless in that it comes out, and you're really not going to be too threatened. You've got your bow dealing 9 damage, you got a kill command in hand, you're probably going to steal the game somewhat soon in this position.
It really makes all the sense in the world that he used Unleash the Hounds now, because I was like, why on earth would he Unleash the Hounds here? But what he wants to do is he wants to get rid of the Blood Mage.
Guaranteed.
Yes. So if he uses the Mad Scientist there instead of the Unleash, when he misses the Blood Mage, he can't actually kill it unless he attacks the Savannah Highmane into it, and that's what he was trying to avoid.
Yeah, you don't want to waste your last bow charge on it either. So it's either or, but you're going to be overkilling it by 1,000 million. So really, there's no really good reason to not use the Unleash in this position.
This is the big turn I think that he was looking for, though.
Yeah, this is the turn that Orange was trying to get, and the important thing about Rogue is the way they play is so interesting nowadays because they generally tend to hoard cards, and they will unleash them in over about 3 turns at the very most. So Orange has accumulated a pretty nice hand. You know, he didn't even need sprint up until this point. He's drawn quite consistently, and he's got the Gadget's hand to follow up on the next turn. So he's thinking about what he could get, I guess. He's thinking about shiving for card draw, but
you know, I've made this shiv a lot of times, and something that I really always regret about it is that I have 1 dagger charged, and like I usually draw something like deadly poison.
And then you should have just redaggered, right?
Yeah, it's not even. I don't even necessarily think it's you should have redaggered. It's that every time that this happens, I always draw a deadly poison, and I'm staring at my hand and going, God, why didn't I redagger?
How much mana is that going to cost me to set up? And I mean, this is not a bad Savannah Highmane. The problem is if your opponent actually has another sap, you tend to take about 10 damage straight up. And now you might be in a position where... Well, I mean, I guess you Savannah Highmane Freezing Trap and see where things go from there. Or you could just
saw Shiv. Well, he saw Shiv over Dagger Up again, so I think he's probably excluding something like Tinker Sharpsword Oil. So I think he's... I mean, I would tend to favor the hero power right now. He also hasn't seen Earthen Ring Farseer. So there might be something like an anti-heal bot, and it's just a matter of which one of these is going to deal more effective damage in the long run. So, well, there wasn't Tinker Sharpsword Oil, but there is now. But I don't think that's going to be the play this turn. It's just tough stuff. I mean, he's got to be worried.
You can't even justify Gadget Standing. I think you have to Drake Eviscerate to kill that body, and then perhaps even to get a prep, and then you can Fan of Knives the Hyenas off the board.
It's awfully ambitious. I think that Azure Drake probably is the play here, because I think you want to take out the first half of the Savannah Highmane. You have a minion on board to start attacking against what's happening, but again, there's just a trap on the other side of the board.
And that bow is watching you. Give me another charge, it says. If he finds a prep, though, that could be a crazy draw for him.
Sap could work too.
Ugh.
That's not a very solid one right now.
Well, you've got to do what you've got to do. Take that Highmane off the board before it hits the face. Again.
Oh gosh, this feels so painful.
You might even deadline.
He's using Eviscerate to remove 2 damage from the board on turn 8.
3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's lethal for Amaz next turn, actually. Yep, this is actually a lethal for Amaz.
Yeah, that's gonna do that one. Orange is gonna fall with this Rogue deck. I think Rogue is typically pretty favored in this matchup.
Yeah. You get a good sap. You just need to get those 3/3s out as soon as possible. But the bow that Amaz had and the 3 charges would have contested those 3/3s anyway.
Wisely holding on to his bow charges to make sure that his opponent doesn't be able to play or isn't able to play on curve as strong as it normally can, and he's now going to take a 2-1 lead, and he's got Druid versus Rogue and Warrior, and the Druid versus Warrior is really got destroyed by Shadow Menace Recombobulate, and I think that Black Knight is not what he really wants to face either.
Well, Deadly Poison's pretty good against Acolytes of Pain. We'll see exactly what Druid gets. No Innervates would be a really big help for Orange. Well, it's a bit
Innervate can really hurt, but it really comes down to whether or not Sap was drawn a lot of times.
Yeah.
And
well,
we're doing a good job on calling him today. You know, this hand is really weak, but Blood Mage I think is one of those cards that I used to burn this a lot to draw cards, but Rogue I think has a little bit of time to find some stuff, especially when he has the Sap in hand. So to see him try to save it to get good use out of it, I think makes a lot more sense than just using it to pick up an extra card.
Oh man, these cards aren't exactly what Orange wants to see for the time being. I mean, he's hoping his opponent skips the next turn at the very least.
Yeah, the Tinker's Oil is really going to change his mind about that.
Well, that prep needs to be kept for a sprint. I think Orange will be relieved if a sprint pops off the top. Especially since Amaz doesn't have a turn 3. I mean, he coined out the Shade, but Without a turn
Yeah.
3, he's just gonna have to hero power down that Blood Mage.
Yeah, Amaz was really looking to wrath something like an Earthen Ring Farseer or an SI7 agent this turn.
Yep.
Hero power Blood Mage, though, I think you're pretty happy with that.
Well, now there's a fan of knives on Orange's
my
side. I think you
gosh.
just throw that out and try to draw a card, get something a bit more relevant for now.
If you had drawn that with the Blood Mage, you could add Blood
Oh,
Mage.
that would have been sick.
Shade.
Goodbye, Shade.
Yeah, 2 saps now. I mean, not a lot of action going on. I mean, this deck does need a mix of minions and spells.
Yeah.
And right
It
now,
tries to
it's
beat
just
the board
spells.
a lot more than... I mean, then again, Orange's version does contain the Auctioneers, so he's got to have made cuts somewhere in the minion roster. I'm not exactly sure where.
Is he playing the Auctioneer version? Do we know that for sure?
I saw the Auctioneer earlier, so maybe cut one sprint in favor of one Auctioneer at the very least. Well, there it is.
Wow. Yeah,
Hello.
like, once again, we've been nailing him. I think it's time to go buy some lottery tickets.
Yep, I'm doing that tonight. I'm making about $17,000 from this cast, so no problems.
$17,000.
Yeah, that's a good deal for 6 hours of casting, am I right?
Man, that's good stuff, man. I don't know how you pulled that one off, but that would be amazing.
Alright, so the rogue, what did she do? He prepped something, but I don't think he wanted to prep something. I think he dragged the wrong card out. He doesn't seem... Orange is face palming right now.
Yeah, I don't really
He threw
understand.
Yeah, I think he threw the Gadgets and Auctioneer out. Basically, he wanted to play Sap, I'm pretty sure, and now he played Prep, and...
Was he just... I mean, he looks devastated. This preparation had to be accidental.
Yeah, it's not
think-
intentional, it's
Did
pretty obvious.
Did Auctioneer just register as 5 mana in his head? And he was like, oh, perfect.
No, he literally played Prep without even trying to play the Auctioneer.
That's...
Oh, he's gonna try to go full face here and gonna sap the... Oh wow, that is very heads-on, and... You know what, I want to say that this might work.
No, that's what I mean. I'm really curious, like, why he was so devastated by this play. Like,
Because it's not... You really want to play everything with Gadgetzan up, given the choice, but... Then again, this is a lot more aggressive. How do you seal the game, though? I mean, you need to top deck another Prep. Right?
I mean, I guess so. I mean, it doesn't seem... I mean, it looked to me like he was trying to force his opponent to have something like a Wrath or a Swipe this turn and maybe throw off his tempo. That's what I was thinking, but this is obviously a gigantic misclick from him.
Well, he might sap now, I don't know. You sap the Shade and you pass the turn. And hope you get another Prep for that Gadgetzan.
I think you attack him and re-dagger. You gotta kill him at this point. I mean, you're
Get a
committed to
better
this game plan.
Tinkers. Yeah, there's nothing else for him to do. He has to go full face at this point.
Yeah.
And
He's got
Wow.
8 more with the... He's got... You know, if his opponent doesn't have, like, a healer or a taunt, he's got 8 more with the Tinker Sharpshooter roll. He's got 4 with the Eviscerate. I mean, it's getting pretty close, honestly.
yeah, the Ancient of Lore has, 5 damage healing. If he doesn't kill him next turn, this is going to become really problem. That 5 health is excruciating to go through.
Yeah, I mean, but, look at the bright side of things. You do have a chance to kill him.
Oh!
Well, he doesn't have any
That-
saps anymore.
That's an okay draw, right? I mean, you at least try Prep Eviscerate and hope for Deadly Poison. That's
Do you
3
prep
card
Eviscerate
draws
or do you prep Tinkers? I think you prep the Tinkers.
into your Gadge. I guess you have to, because you get just to get that dagger, but I just...
Oh, no. You cannot Eviscerate that. You've committed to the game plan.
He found the Deadly! What?
But he-
No way!
But he eviscerated the Shredder, not
I know.
the face.
Oh, he can't kill that. But he's gonna draw cards! Oh my goodness. And now, wait, the problem is Amaz now cannot afford healing. Because then the Gadgetzan stays up and he loses the game.
That was what I thought his entire game plan was. This is why I don't understand why he was so devastated about it. Like, I thought this was what he was trying to
That
do.
wasn't it. No, he wanted to keep everything for the Gadgetzan play, but he went all in on a play that he didn't want to make. And now the Drake gets popped out. Amaz doesn't heal up. And does this give Orange an opportunity to stabilize?
I mean, you could
That
draw the other
Drake-
Deadly Voice, and that would be...
You just have to find Blade Flurry with that Azure Drake, and suddenly things don't look as bad all of a sudden. What is this top deck? Is it? No, it's not. That's not exactly what he was looking for. Ah. Man. Now that armor up. That armor is going to start stacking with the Armor Smith.
I don't think he anticipated Armor Smith. and the
Nobody
Pilot Shredder.
does. Nobody expects
Is that
Armor
enough
Smith.
damage? That's 23 right now that Amaz has. He's actually just
Two
a
off,
couple.
yeah.
Yeah, he's just a couple mana off. of killing him. Force Nature Savage or 23 damage possible at turn 8.
He's calculating. You can see it on his fingers.
Yep. He's gonna get the bad news that he has to kill stuff this turn.
Yeah.
And then play other stuff. But
unless you put your opponent on immediate clock, but then you're dead to
you know what? That's actually a good point. I mean, he could just put him at 2 and hope that his opponent doesn't have the damage to kill him. But when your opponent just poison, or your opponent has a poison up and they didn't attack you, it certainly feels like they it certainly really feels like they may just be able to kill you. He's just gonna go for it though. He's got the Keeper in the Grove in hand, so I cannot blame him. Oh,
he's gonna start trading with stuff for that combo. Is he going face or trading? I think he's trading.
Wow. So he's gonna deny all the damage, just get in as much damage as he can.
And get a good Savage Warrior next turn, actually. That's a lethal play next turn. With Savage Warrior number 2.
Definitely was not accounting for the second Savage Warrior when I was looking at how this could go on. I mean, this is still just as threatening of a board position.
Do you think he plays 2 South Sea deckhands? Because that would be huge.
I don't think he does.
I doubt he does.
But I've seen people do it.
Okay.
I played some of it earlier this week. And it wasn't too shabby. I mean, second South Sea deckhand. I mean, you have 2 Tinker Sharpsword oils. Like, one of the best combos in the deck is South Sea deckhand and Tinker Sharpsword oil for 9 damage.
He needs to find Blade Flurry as soon as possible.
Well, he finds Eviscerate, and that's it may be able to keep him alive for a turn.
Yeah, it will actually. It's gonna be able to kill the Drake. And
every single point that he puts into a minion though is one step further from being able to kill his opponent.
He needs to get 1 minion to stick though. Just one. Like if Amaz goes for Dr. Boom here and doesn't trade, and that Shredder lives, that Tinkers is going to be, you just stop a Blade Flurry on the back of it.
I'm curious
but
if
you can't because it's going to give armor. Oh my god.
I'm curious if he needs the boom. Like at this point, you're so far ahead.
Double Keeper, right? You double Keeper, silence, then trade.
Well, you definitely could do. There's so many different lines of play here that it's just, what are you worried about? And I think when you can prevent yourself from ever dying, basically, that's probably one of your best bets. So like, double Keeper, pulls all the damage off the board, and there's almost no way that Orange can deal 20 damage from a board position like this.
Yeah, you're kind of becoming a warrior at this point, which is the biggest weakness of Rogue, which they just can't handle it. Well, that's gonna be.
He needs 6 more damage here. So like, if Amaz didn't have any way to gain life or deal damage, this would be a really.
Oh, that's gonna be game. Force of Nature will be top decked by Amaz here. The second combo does come around eventually, which is gonna give the complete sweep here for Amaz. Now, Orange must be feeling really bad about the play that I think he didn't want to make very early in the game. He seemed devastated by what happened. So.
Which I still don't think is that bad. I actually